Nigh.
In the 1st century, the city of Smyrna was a crown jewel of Asia Minor. Sitting on the Aegean coast, it thrived as a bustling port and a loyal ally to the Roman Empire. The city's wealth was concentrated along its Street of Gold, a main thoroughfare where the city's economic life was inseparable from its religious devotion. This street was lined with temples to the Greek and Roman pantheon, where residents brought constant offerings to Apollo, Aphrodite, and Zeus. But the ultimate test of civic loyalty was the state-sponsored cult of the emperor. Smyrna was so devoted to Rome that it won the right to host a temple dedicated entirely to Emperor Tiberius. Participating in these rituals and emperor worship proved your allegiance. It was the requirement for social acceptance and economic survival in the city. This created a crisis for the early Christians in Smyrna. They obeyed Roman civic laws, but they refused to bow down and worship the man on the throne. Because Smyrna's social life revolved around the pagan temples, this refusal made them outcasts. By rejecting the recognized gods of the state, the surrounding culture branded them as atheists and antisocial threats. Under Emperor Domitian, this social isolation became a legal trap. He declared that refusing to sacrifice to the emperor was a capital offense. The Christians were left with a binary choice. They could conform to the cult of Rome to save their lives, or face execution as enemies of the state. The immediate result was economic ruin. Believers faced the confiscation of their property, forcing many, who were already slaves or laborers, into extreme poverty. Hostility also came from former peers. Local Jewish communities reported them to Roman authorities, accusing the Christians of rebellion and treason. Christ refers to these hostile accusers as a synagogue of Satan because their reports to the Romans directly fueled the systematic destruction of the church. The book of Revelation warns that the pressure will soon intensify. Christ tells the church that the devil is about to cast some of them into prison for 10 days of testing. A believer in Smyrna was entirely surrounded. They were stripped of their wealth, betrayed by their neighbors, and targeted by the most powerful empire on earth. The human embodiment of this clash of allegiances was Polycarp, one of Smyrna's most prominent early Christians. He was eventually arrested and faced the mechanics of Roman execution, a public brutality the state used to force compliance and break the will of its subjects. Given the choice to pledge his spiritual allegiance to Caesar or burn at the stake, Polycarp willingly submitted to physical execution. His martyrdom proved that Rome's greatest weapon, the power to inflict death, could not override a Christian's allegiance to Christ. This is why Christ's message to Smyrna in the book of Revelation is so unique. Unlike the letters to most other churches, it contains no reprimands, only pure encouragement. Christ identifies himself as the first and the last, who was dead and has come to life. He had personally endured execution and resurrection, offering a guarantee of eternal life to those facing the same fate. While the Romans had confiscated their property and left them economically destitute, Christ makes a different assessment. This scale weighs their physical emptiness against their spiritual standing, which he declares to be actually rich. By focusing on their eternal standing, he shifts their perspective, rendering their temporary earthly losses insignificant compared to what they have gained. This flowchart maps human existence. The line hits the first death, the physical end the Romans inflict. The descending red path is the second death, eternal separation from God. Faithful Christians bypass this, following the ascending path to receive the crown of life. Rejecting the survival offered by the Roman system, the martyrs of Smyrna walked through a physical death to claim an eternal empire, proving that their poverty was, in fact, the greatest wealth in the city.
Nigh.